Do Washington politicians? They sure do, because big oil pumps millions into their campaigns. Bernie Sanders is the only candidate for president who opposes fracking everywhere. Why? Because fracking pumps dangerous, cancer-causing chemicals into the ground and threatens our drinking water. Bernie, he can't be bought by them because he's funded by you.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
Well, hi, everybody. That was a really short message about fracking from Bernie, an official Bernie ad, and that's called No Fracking Anywhere. I think I heard Susan Sarandon in there. And thank you for joining us. We've got Bernie Sanders in my neck of the woods, well, a little bit south, Salem, Oregon, but I am moving down that way. I'm moving down to Corvallis, so I'm really glad that Bernie is here today. And we are waiting for local Fox 12, Oregon, to bring this to us. Right now, they're showing us some pretty nasty weather happening somewhere around the country. Anyway, hi everybody. What do we have here? We're going to talk about some news while we're waiting. We've got some results, of course, the West Virginia primary. And let me see if I can't get... let me switch some audio over and get Scott here. We've got Scott hanging out. And where are you, Scott? There you are. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you. So, what's the West Virginia primary look like? Good news is we're going to win. Not so good news is, from Pragmatist Scott.
Well, the one thing is the exit polls are pretty scary when 27% say that of the people who voted in the Democratic primary say they're going to vote for Donald Trump in November. That's a scary stat.
That's a scary stat. That's a scary stat. And even though I really tried to argue hard about that with you, the truth is you can't argue that it's a scary stat when you're talking about the Democratic Party and party unity, which doesn't really seem to be there, does it? You know, one way or the other. What else? So under the exit polls, Scott, what else did you see? That anything positive in the exit polls? Maybe I should ask that way.
I guess I'm not seeing that great of numbers in these exit polls. I think it shows that a lot of people voted in the Democratic primary that wouldn't vote for any Democrat in November.
It does. At this point, right? That's what I tried to argue with you, and it didn't seem to matter much. I'm like, well, if the Democratic Party sees this and knows this, doesn't that scare the shit out of them and motivate them to unify under the person that is most likely going to win? By the way, there's the results as they stand right now, everybody.
You would think that.
Okay, so there's there's a positive. I got you to acknowledge a positive. This should scare the shit out of Democratic hardliners that are like, I've got to vote for Hillary Clinton because I got to vote for Hillary Clinton. The truth is, and I'm going to say it even though you're like, Bernie Sanders does have a better statistical probability of beating Trump. The numbers are there, right? All the numbers say that. Polls show that nationally. So if you're going to unify around the guy that can actually beat Trump decisively. That's actually coming out of the Sanders campaign. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I think maybe these statistics would help, this exit poll data. But as you were telling me earlier, like, it's and tell me, okay, this is how I'm reading your statement, that the Democratic Party appears to not really give a shit about West Virginia because of its lack of interest in it right now.
Oh no, I don't think that, but I think it's likely that if these numbers, with these poll numbers, the Democrats probably won't put much money in West Virginia. They'll consider it a lost cause and move on. Yeah.
Okay, and so that's heading into fighting Trump. They'll be like, he's already got that one, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Traditionally, is West Virginia a Republican or is it a swing? What how is it traditionally?
It's been moving Republican.
Okay.
But at one time it was more of a swing state. Robert Byrd and Jay Rockefeller from West Virginia. So at one time it was a state where Democrats could win.
Interesting, interesting. So as things have gotten worse, it's gotten more Republican. That's just my take on it. I'm throwing the correlation in there, but I think there's a lot of data to back that statement. Just going to read some comments from Eddie here. Hillary is getting schlonged, according to Eddie, but no preference other is 10%. What does that no preference marker mean? Is that indicative of anything to you? Do we need to worry about that number being 10%?
I think that both the Trump number and the no preference number could be as well. There is a race for governor on the Democratic side.
Okay.
Today, and there's nothing on the Republican side to vote for, really. So there is possibility that a lot of Republicans have jumped over to vote in that governor's race. And
is that good, bad?
Governor's race, and that could be where that 10% is. Like, they don't want either Sanders or Clinton, the Republicans who have jumped over to influence the gubernatorial primary.
All right. So it could have something to do with something totally different. I understand. All right, listen, I'm getting a lot of people saying that we're bumming him out. I'm not trying to bum you out. Look, he won. He's won. We won. It's good. We won. But we need to look at delegates. We need to look at what we need to go to the convention and how much power we need at the convention. And so I'm not bummed out, guys. I'm excited. We won. All right? But we need to win by as big a margin as possible. We need to get out to vote bigger. California needs to be 70% or better, 80%, right? So I'm not being bummy. We won. We won. By the way, I want to say hi to everybody. All right, Dr. Copperhead, Kate Grin, Omar, Tickle My Pickle, Susan Brown. Did you just make that so I could say that? Bernie is the real Jesus. I'll go with that.
But
Bernie is an example.
West Virginia is a bigoted state. Let's see.
Wow. Just call it as you see it there, Scott.
Hippies disappear in West Virginia.
You know this because of your past? Nice. We're not trying to bum you out. Look, everybody is just, wow, you guys. West Virginia is small. Bernie won. Look, I'm just reading your, Scott. We are not negative Nellies. Scott is the pragmatist. I am the dreamer. Look.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm calling the state bigoted and saying that hippies disappear in West Virginia, and I'm the pragmatist?
Okay, good. Okay, that's a good point. Look, Bernie just won in a really bigoted state, according to Scott. That's something
I think that Oklahoma and West Virginia are the two most racist states in the country.
All right, this is Scott's opinion here, all right? But I having never been to, well, I've probably been to West Virginia when I was a kid. I don't know. I'm not going to argue it. I got no data to argue it. So I can't argue against it, we'll say that. Anyway, let me check, guys, make sure we didn't start anything. Now we're just looking at weather in Oregon here on Fox 12. And nothing on News Universe. That's where I'm pulling the feeds from, Fox 12, if you guys want to watch it there. They've got a live stream. We can get you the link to that. And, yes, every delegate counts. Every delegate counts. We're keeping it real. See, thank you, Kay Grin. That's exactly what Scott's doing, keeping it real. Where are we at? I'm seeing 50.5%, 39%. That's what I'm seeing. And Scott's telling me this delegate count of 14 to 10 is not right. There's something wrong there considering the delegate count. I'm not sure where they're missing.
They haven't given them all out yet. So.
All right. They haven't given them all out because we're not done. When we got percentage reporting, it's like, I don't know what they do with that. I don't even see it anymore. I can't find it. It's low. We don't have a lot. We're not even at 50% yet, right? How's the weather in Oregon? It's really nice. It's way hotter than it's supposed to be. I don't know about you, but the effects of climate change very much being felt here in Oregon. How about your neck of the woods, Scott? You've lived in that area for a while.
Well, we had tornadoes and
normal
yesterday in Iowa. Yeah.
Normal stuff.
They talked. The Oklahoma ones made the news, but there was also some tornadoes in Nebraska and Kansas and Iowa.
Here, here. You want to worry about something? Worry about this. Wealthy cruise donors firm pours millions into Clinton campaign. If they can't spend their money on cruise, is this the same guy that asked for all his money back? Just out of curiosity, he took his money back. He's like, I'm going to spend it on another crooked candidate. If you can't do the job, I don't know. I think that's interesting. Here, we'll just so everybody can feel happy. Because I'm happy. New polling shows that Bernie Sanders, not Clinton, most formidable against Trump. If you are a hardline Democrat, and for some reason you are still thinking Hillary is where it's at, try reading some facts. Like this. We could run this. I don't think we have enough time to run this. Did you guys see earlier today, Jon Stewart? Find that link. It's on the newsroom. It's on politicalrevolution.tv. And watch the Jon Stewart interview on the David Axelrod show, The Axe Files, which I think is hilarious. Have you ever watched this, Scott?
I saw the man baby clip.
The man baby clip? I don't even know what that is.
Well, that's
Is that
that's what Jon Stewart says. He's not sure whether Donald Trump is eligible to run for president because he's a man baby. Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that part. I don't know where that time marker is. I only have this marker where he really dives deep into the media and all that stuff. I'd love to see a more funny, lighter piece where he's just bashing Trump. Somebody find me the time mark on that. That would be great. It is. I'm sorry. I'm reading your comments. Think it through. Great clip. Axelrod is a Nimrod. I tell you what. I don't know personally where I fall about him because I don't know enough about him. I do know he was the first, like when we talked about this before, Scott, he was the first like political guy like Tad Devine that I knew of, like the first name when I was first when Obama was because wasn't he tied to the Obama campaign? Wasn't he the what was he his Tad Devine basically?
Yeah.
Okay. And I that's who I remember. Like I remember like seeing him talk a lot and say, and I was like paying attention to him. That's the first guy. Now, is he a Nimrod? What do you think? Where does he?
I think that I think he's been in the Clinton camp for a while.
Okay.
That's
all right. He's a Clintoner. He's a.
Yeah. He's critical over sometimes on things, but pretty much. He's acknowledged she's going to be the nominee. He's been saying that a long time.
Okay, so for the most part, he's establishment all the way.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was thinking about the Jon Stewart thing. I'm just reading your guys' comments now. I got to stop doing that. It's too fun.
If you really look at
Hi, Janine. Hang on. Janine talking. Many reps voted for Bernie today as a vote against Hillary. Awesome. Is that in Rhode Island, Janine? And hi, Janine. We miss you. Good to see you. We're just hanging until this starts. And I'm sorry, Scott, what were you saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just saw the chat.
Well, if you look at who Donald Trump has been reaching out to all along, then it's not a surprise that he would resonate in West Virginia.
No. What is his solution to West Virginia and coal, or does he even give a shit, or is he all about coal, or just curious?
He's going to bring in jobs and make America great again.
With coal? All right. All right. That's good. That's good. That's why I want to make America think again. All right. If you're going to vote for Hillary, think again, because she's not going to beat Donald Trump in a general election. Right? Donald Trump is going to try to make America great with coal and whatever. I don't even know what he's got in mind. I want to, while it appears we have time, and by the way, I'm keeping track here. Bernie, according to the New York Times, 50.7%. He's already been declared the winner of West Virginia. The stats I don't think really matter at this point. They've got to hand out a few more delegates. The bottom line is it's not enough to keep us at pace. It's not enough to move us ahead. It actually, in the whole stake of it, it actually puts us farther behind the mark. Okay, so let's not look at it that way, because that's not positive. Let's look at it like this: every delegate counts. So if we get 14, if we get 15, if we get 13, yay! Every delegate counts. We move on to the next state. We move on to the next contest. We phone bank. We face bank. This is how it is. We won. Pat ourselves on the back. Now get back to work. All right. It's on C-SPAN.
Really, with Donald Trump.
Hey, everybody's telling me it's on right now. And I'm waiting for them to cut live to it. I'm not seeing it here on Fox. Somebody get me a link to C-SPAN. That sucks. If you get me that, I would rather be playing that. Here, take a look at this. Let me see if I can't get a link, guys. The channel I was monitoring is not running it. And the News Universe isn't running. Somebody make sure that's not an older one or a previous one. C-SPAN does that all the time.
Well, he's live on MSNBC.
All right. I think we got something here, everybody. Hang on. My apologies. And
with your help, we're going to win in Oregon next week. And I want to take a moment to thank the people of West Virginia for the tremendous victory. I think it ends up being a double-digit victory tonight. And this is a state, West Virginia, where Hillary Clinton won by over 4 points against Barack Obama in 2008. West Virginia is a working class state, and like many other states in this country, including Oregon, working people are hurting. And what the people of West Virginia said tonight, and I believe the people of Oregon and Kentucky will say next week, is that we need an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. The people of this country are sick and tired of working 2 or 3 jobs. They are tired of working longer hours for lower wages. They are worried to death about the future of their kids. And they do not want to see almost all new wealth and income going to the top 1%. The people of West Virginia, of Kentucky, of Oregon want an economy that works for all of us. They want to have the United States join every other major country and guarantee health care to all people as a right. Infrastructure and create 13 million jobs. And the people of West Virginia and the people of Kentucky and the people of Oregon understand that in the year 2016, we have got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, where the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%, the people of Oregon and Kentucky and West Virginia know that it is high time for the wealthy and large corporations to start paying their fair share of taxes. With our victory tonight in West Virginia, we have now won primaries and caucuses in 19 states. And let me be as clear as I can be, we are in this campaign to win the Democratic nomination. And we are going to fight for every last vote in Oregon, Kentucky, California, the Dakotas. Now, we fully acknowledge, we are good in arithmetic, that we have an uphill climb ahead of us. But we are used to fighting uphill climbs. We have been fighting uphill from the first day of this campaign when people considered us a fringe candidacy. And our message to the Democratic delegates who will be assembling in Philadelphia is, while we may have many disagreements with Secretary Clinton, there is one area we agree, and that is we must defeat Donald Trump. And I am very happy to tell you, we will defeat Donald Trump. And if you look over the last month or 6 weeks at every national poll, Bernie Sanders defeats Donald Trump by big numbers. But it is not only national polls where we defeat Trump by bigger numbers than Secretary Clinton. It is state poll after state poll after state poll. Just in the last day, 2 national polls have us beating Trump by bigger margins than Secretary Clinton. 4 statewide polls in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and New Hampshire. In every one of those polls, we beat Trump or do better against Trump than does Secretary Clinton. But the reason that our campaign is the strongest campaign against Trump is not just the polls. It is that our campaign is generating the energy and the enthusiasm that we need to have a large voter turnout in November. Democrats and progressives win national elections when the voter turnout is high, when millions of people are prepared to stand up and fight back. That is what our campaign is all about. I am very proud to tell you that taking on virtually the entire Democratic establishment, senators and governors and members of Congress and mayors, despite all of that opposition, we have now received well over 45% of the pledged delegates. And if we do well in the coming weeks in Oregon, in California, in New Jersey, in Kentucky, and the other states, we still have that road to victory in winning the majority of pledged delegates. And let me mention something else that doesn't get a lot of attention, but that I am very, very proud of. In virtually every primary and caucus, we win the significant majority of people 45 years of age and younger. Now, the truth is that we are going to work on this. We have to do better with older voters. And we are going to do better with older voters. But when we win in state after state a significant majority of younger voters, what that tells me, and I think it tells the American people, our vision of economic, social, racial, and environmental justice is the future of America. Our vision is the future of America and the future of the Democratic Party. Now, Donald Trump is not going to become president for a number of reasons. And the major reason is that the American people understand that we cannot have a president who has insulted Latinos and Mexicans, who has insulted Muslims, who every day is insulting women in one way or another, who has insulted veterans like John McCain and others, who has insulted African Americans in a very profound way. People sometimes forget that before Mr. Trump was running for president, he was one of the leaders of the so-called birther movement. And that movement was a very ugly effort to delegitimize the presidency of the first African American president in our history. Mr. Trump will not become president because the American people understand that our strength is in our diversity. That we are a great nation because we are black and white and Latino and Asian American and Native Americans. We are a great nation because we are gay and we are straight. We are a great nation because we are women and men. And our greatness and our strength is when we come together as one proud people. And the American people understand that bringing us together always trumps dividing us up. And the American people understand that we are great when we support each other. When your family is hurting, my family has got to be there for you. And when my family hurts, you have got to help us. America is about not tolerating a situation in which children go hungry or veterans sleep out on the street. And the American people understand that supporting each other always trumps selfishness. And the American people also understand a very profound lesson taught to us by every major religion on earth, whether it is Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, whatever. And that profound message is that at the end of the day, love always trumps hatred. Our campaign has now won primaries and caucuses in 19 states because we are doing something very unusual in American politics. We are treating the American people like intelligent human beings. And we are telling them the truth even when the truth is unpleasant. I have always believed that it is far more important to deal with unpleasant truths than just to sweep them under the rug. And let me discuss with you some of the truths that we have got to address as Americans. Number one, men and women fought and died to help preserve American democracy. And we owe our veterans a debt of gratitude that we can never repay. And that is why I regard it as appalling that today we have a campaign finance system which is corrupt and undermining American democracy. Democracy is not a complicated idea. It means one person, one vote. You get a vote, you get a vote, and you get a vote. Democracy does not mean billionaires buying elections. Democracy does not mean Wall Street and the wealthiest people in this country contributing massive amounts of money into super PACs. Democracy does not mean Republican governors suppressing the vote. And that is why, together, we are going to overturn this disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United. And why we are going to move toward public funding of elections. I believe passionately in democracy, and what that means is if you are a progressive, a moderate, a conservative, I don't care what your ideology is, you should have the right to run for office without begging millionaires for campaign contributions. I want this country to have the highest rate of voter turnout of any country on earth, not one of the lowest voter turnout rates. But it's not just a corrupt campaign finance system and the super PACs that we have got to deal with. It is the fact that we live in a rigged economy. Now, for fairly obvious reasons, you're not going to see much of this discussion on television. But here are some unpleasant realities that we as a nation are going to have to address, and that is, we have more income and wealth inequality than almost any major country on earth, and it is worse today, that inequality, than at any time since 1928. In America today, and I want you to hear this, because you're not going to see it on TV. You may as well hear it here. And that is the top 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. In America today, the 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million Americans. In America today, one family, the Walton family of Walmart, owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. One family. And here is what a rigged economy really means. The Waltons own Walmart, the largest private sector company in this country, but they pay their workers wages that are so low that many of their employees are forced to go on food stamps and Medicaid. And you know who pays for those food stamps and Medicaid? You do. It seems to me to be a little bit absurd for working families to have to subsidize the wealthiest family in this country. And I say to the Walton family, and by the way, one of the Waltons made a campaign contribution to Secretary Clinton of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I say to that family, maybe instead of making large campaign contributions to Secretary Clinton, pay your workers a living wage. But we have got to deal with not just a declining and disappearing middle class, not just the fact that we have over 20% of our children living in poverty, not just that we have a corrupt campaign finance system, we also have a broken criminal justice system. There is something very, very wrong in this country when we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. We are spending $80 billion a year to lock up 2.2 billion Americans. That has got to change. And one of the reasons that we have so many people in jail is that in many of our inner cities, in many of our rural communities, you have youth unemployment of 30, 40, 50%. White kids, Latino kids, African American kids who have no jobs and have no education. And when you hang out on street corners, bad things happen. And that is why I believe, and if elected president, we will implement investing in our young people in jobs and education. In jobs and education, not jails or incarceration. You know, we have been criticized. Our campaign has been criticized because we think too big. We are too radical. Well, I'll tell you this. Maybe it's a radical idea, maybe it's not. But I want this country to have the best educated population, not more people in jail than any other country. And when we talk about reforming criminal justice, it is also important to deal with local police departments all across this country. Now, I was a mayor of Burlington, Vermont, and we want all of you to come visit us in Vermont. Like Oregon, it is a beautiful state. You'll enjoy it. I was a mayor there for 8 years, and I worked with our police department, not only in Burlington, but throughout our state, and I've worked with police officers throughout this country. Vast majority of police officers are honest and hardworking and have a very difficult job. But when a police officer, like any other public official, breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. We have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make police departments reflect the diversity of the communities they serve. We have got to end corporate ownership of prisons and detention centers. We have got to create a culture in this country which says to police departments, lethal force, killing people, is the last resort, not the first resort. We have got to rethink the so-called war on drugs. In the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possession of marijuana. And if you're a young person trying to get a job, having that police record is a real serious issue. And that is why I believe that right now, when the Federal Controlled Substance Act lists marijuana as a Schedule I drug right alongside of heroin, that is crazy. And that is why, if elected president, we will take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. And when we talk about drugs, let me tell you, we have a major, major crisis in this country in terms of opiate addiction and in terms of heroin addiction and drug abuse, substance abuse. To my mind, the most effective way to treat that crisis, and it is a crisis because people are overdosing every single day and dying, what we have got to do is understand that addiction is a health issue, not a criminal issue. And that is why we need a revolution in mental health treatment in this country. If you are addicted, you should be able to get the help you need today, not 6 months from today. We are also facing a very serious crisis in suicide in this country. And when people are suicidal or when they are homicidal, and I don't have to tell the people of Oregon about mass killings, We need to make sure that people who have mental crises get the help they need when they need it. This campaign is going to win because we are listening to the American people and not just to wealthy campaign contributors. We are listening to workers who tell me they cannot make it on $8 or $9 an hour. We need to raise the minimum wage nationally, $15 an hour. And when we talk about equitable wages, we are going to make sure that women do not continue to earn 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And I know that every man here will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. This campaign is listening to seniors and disabled veterans and the veterans community in general. And what they are telling me is that no senior, no disabled veteran can make it on $10,000, $11,000 a year Social Security. Republicans want to cut Social Security benefits. Well, we have some bad news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security for the elderly and the disabled. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to young people. And when we think outside of the box and outside of the status quo, we have to ask ourselves a very simple question. How does it happen that when young people do exactly the right thing and go out and get the best education they can, why do they end up with $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 of debt? Think about it for 1 second and you conclude that's nuts. It's nuts. We want to encourage our people to get the most and best education that they can. We should not be punishing people for getting an education. We should be rewarding them. And that is why we're going to do two things. Number one, we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. Number two, for the millions of people, and how many people here tonight are dealing with student debt? What we are going to do is allow people with student debt to refinance their loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. And we are going to pay for that through a tax on Wall Street speculation. This country bailed out Wall Street when their greed and illegal behavior drove this nation into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Now it is Wall Street's time to help the middle class of this country. This campaign is listening to our African American brothers and sisters. And they are asking me, how does it happen that we have trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into? But supposedly we do not have the money to rebuild crumbling inner cities in this country. If elected president, together we're going to be changing our national priorities. We're not going to be rebuilding infrastructure in Iraq. We're going to be rebuilding inner cities in America and in all of them. This campaign is listening to our Latino brothers and sisters. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country. We need comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. This campaign is listening to a people whose pain is almost never heard, and that is the Native American community. Everyone here knows that from before the time this country became a country, the Native American people were lied to, they were cheated, and treaties they negotiated were broken. And yet the Native American people have provided us with so much. We have a debt to them that we can never, ever repay. And one of the most important things that they have taught us is that as human beings, we are part of nature. We must coexist with nature. And that if we continue, as we are doing today, if we continue to destroy nature, we are ultimately destroying the human species. And yet today, on reservations and in Native American communities, poverty and unemployment and suicide rates are sky high. If elected president, we are going to profoundly change our relationship to the Native American people. When we think big and not small, when we think outside of the status quo, we ask ourselves a very simple question. How does it happen that the United States is the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right? The Affordable Care Act has done some very important things, but we the sound system has reappeared. See, that's thinking big. You don't have it and suddenly it's in front of you. But the Affordable Care Act has done some good things, but we have got to do more. And what this campaign is about in all respects is making the American people understand what we have and should have as Americans. Every day the media tells us and the establishment tells us, think small. Imagine, do you really think you are entitled to health care as a right? Who do you think you are? Well, I kind of think that if the people in the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Holland, Scandinavia, and Canada can have health care as a right, you know what? I do think that the American people are entitled to health care. And I want you to think big and think about this. When we pass a Medicare for all healthcare system, what it means, anybody goes to the doctor when they have to go to the doctor, not worry about a deductible or a copayment. And when we pass a Medicare for all system, we will not continue to be ripped off by the drug companies who charge us the highest prices in the world. And when we pass a Medicare for all system, it will mean that millions of people no longer have to stay on jobs they don't like simply because they're getting good health insurance. Think for a moment what it will mean to our economy when we unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of millions of people who can leave their jobs now and go out and start new businesses. And not have to worry about whether they're going to have health insurance or not. I want to, for a moment, talk about a few of the differences that exist between Secretary Clinton and myself. Secretary Clinton thinks we should raise the minimum wage to $12 an hour. Not good enough. We need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. Let me tell you, climate change is real. And for the sake of our children and future generations, we are going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. And one way to do that, maybe the most important way, is to have a tax on carbon. That is my view. That is not Secretary Clinton's view. In fact, when she was Secretary of State, she pushed fracking technology on countries throughout the world. I believe that the issue of clean water is going to become one of the most significant global issues that we face in our country and throughout the world. And that is why I believe we have got to end fracking. That is not Secretary Clinton's view. Foreign policy, as you know, and military policy is a very important part of what a president does. The most important foreign policy debate in the modern history of this country was over the war in Iraq. I voted against the war in Iraq. Secretary Clinton supported the war in Iraq. If we are going to rebuild a declining middle class, we need to revamp our trade policies. I voted against virtually all. I voted against every one of these disastrous trade agreements. Secretary Clinton supported virtually all of them. And on it goes. At this moment in American history, we need a president who has the history and the courage to take on the billionaire class. And I don't think there is any debate over who that candidate is. Everyone here knows, who has studied American history, that real change always takes place from the bottom on up, never from the top on down. That is the history of workers' struggle and the creation of trade unions. It is the history of the civil rights movement. It is the history of the women's movement. Let's not forget, 100 years ago, women did not have the right to vote, to get the education or the jobs they wanted. Women stood up and fought back. And they and their male allies said women will not be second-class citizens in the United States. And that is the history of the gay movement and gay rights in this country. Against incredible bigotry and hatred, the gay community and their straight allies said that in America, people should have the right to love whoever they want, regardless of their gender. And here we are today. Today, in a nation faced by enormous crises. And once again, millions of people are going to have to come together, stand up, and fight back and create a government which works for all of us, not just the 1%. And that is what this campaign is about. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anyone else, can do it alone. We have got to do it together. And in that regard, I want to thank your Senator Jeff Merkley, there are 100 people in the U.S. Senate. Jeff is the only member of the U.S. Senate to support our campaign, and I thank him for that. Next Tuesday, there is going to be an enormously important Democratic primary here in Oregon. What I have found out throughout this campaign is when the voter turnout is high, we do well. We win. Next Tuesday here in Oregon, let us have the highest voter turnout in Oregon Democratic primary history. And let the great state of Oregon, the progressive state of Oregon, go on record as saying, yes, we want a political revolution. Thank you all very much.
All right, everybody, that was Bernie Sanders. And, of course it was. Of course it was. I don't know why I come back on and tell you that, like it's going to be somebody different. Of course it was Bernie Sanders. It was incredible, though. Love what he had to say. Great audio, great picture. Thank you, KGW.com, the NBC affiliate in Portland. Appreciate them bringing that to us. And I love the fact that Bernie is getting more and more, I want to use the word tough, but that's not the right word. He's just, he sounds more and more like the President of the United States. I'm just going to call it that. Oh, look, color bars. Let's get those out of there. More than 500 of you, I'm guessing more than 600, actually. Thank you all for still being here, joining the great conversation. What a wonderful job by our comment mods, whose names I'm not going to remember, so I need you to drop them in chat for me, Bad Wolf. Yes, it was a great speech. Tell me who all did comment modding, because you guys just cranked it out. You're still going. There's like so many comments. It was just fantastic conversation. Just a fantastic conversation. Thank you all so much for being here. Tell me. We're going to go out with something really just perfect for the evening, but we won. Remember that. Feel proud about that. We have more to go. We have other places to go, things to do, states to conquer. Do not stop. We can't stop. Jon Stewart actually said it earlier in that great clip, and maybe I'll just play that again tomorrow. I love that clip so much. Cindy, Mickey, Liam, and Kara, and Bad Wolf, thank you all for being the comment mods today for this rally. The more we have, the better. Wrenches, thank you for being in there and keeping this conversation the best conversation on the net. That's what it is. If you appreciate what we do and the videos that we put out, as I have to say, per YouTube guidelines, please help us out. Donate to fan funding. There's GoFundMe. They'll drop the links in chat. And it goes to pay bills, basically. There's nobody taking a wage here. This is an all-volunteer group. We pay some bills. When we send a reporter out in the field, we pay for some of their travel time. We pay to ship the LU-70. It pays for the live view agreement that we have that we crowdsource together. So help us out if you can. Thank you very much. And tomorrow, Newsroom, 9 a.m., 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Join us. We'll run through some clips. The Jon Stewart clip. What I was talking about there with Jon Stewart that I totally just took a around was relentless. He said the reason that the establishment media and the reason that the politicians that use the establishment media are so good, are so effective, is because they are relentless. They push the same message over and over and over again. And we need to be the same. Every day, 7 days a week, we do this on The Real Newsroom on politicalrevolution.tv, and we do it every time we do a rally. I try to do a rally every day of the week as well. If I can expand, and we are working on expanding this, I can do more. More We the Peoples, more rallies, more events in general, more shows, expand to other things. And that's what we're working on because we have to be relentless with our narrative, which is the truth. And we work with all of the independent networks. And when I say work with, it's not like we have some big long contract where we sign together. It's a handshake. It's a phone call. It's a tweet with each other saying, you know what? We're in this together. No matter who you are, we're about providing the truth. Figuring out what's right, what's wrong, talking about the truth together, figuring out what to do about it, and moving forward. That's what we should be doing as a globe, right? So all of the independent networks, everybody on the internet, that's what's happening. We can have disagreements about who's better than who and who's backed by who, but in the end, the independent networks are your new muckrakers. And you, the audience, are actually part of that effort with us. So thank you for helping us suss the truth together. We do need another debate, and I thought they were going to do a California debate. I'd love to. That should happen if Scott were around, but he took off. Here. See what happened? I'll show you. There's no Scott. He's gone. He just took off. I don't know where he goes. But then again, somewhere else to go. All right. So, speaking of which, maybe I'll just announce this now. I got plans for Philly. Things have changed. Things are happening. I want to take a crew there. I want to take some new gear there. I want to set up big time there. I want to do some things. I'm going to be able to go to Philly, I know. And so, help me out. Get me connected with people. Let's talk about this. Let's plan this together. Let's see what we can do. I want to make it huge. So I'll just say that right there. Results at this point, 51.2%. Bernie Sanders. Here, I'll show you the screen. Here we go. Bernie Sanders, 51.2% with 16 delegates. Hillary Clinton, 36.3% with 11 delegates. And that weird other going on in there. Now, apparently Republicans helped Bernie out this evening. That's what I'm seeing in a lot of the comments. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. Figure out what's going on. Love you all too. Love you too, Leah. Hey, everybody. Thank you, Simon. We will. We're going to take care of it. Yeah, we're going to go to... Yes, we're going to go to Philly. John Denver Country Roads. I will be playing that. I'm a big John Denver fan, if you didn't know that. Actually am. Believe it or not. Okay, let me get this. Let me get what we're going out with. Hang on a second. I gotta grab this. It's on the. I didn't have it ready because I most of the time I don't know what we're gonna play. So I gotta look over here and I gotta get it. And so hang on. It's more fun this way. I gotta see where Bernie takes it and where the mood takes it, where you guys take it. And this one, Bernie brought it home with the point, the big point. We're in this together. Right. And that's it. We've got one shot to get this right. Save the planet. We got to do it with Bernie Sanders. Phone bank, face bank. We got more states, more delegates to get. We'll talk about what everything looks like tomorrow. The aftermath of this. The devastating win for Bernie Sanders, according to Wolfwitzer. And 12.4%. No preference, other. Yeah, I'm not really sure what. We'll get Scott to tell us all about that tomorrow. Thank you guys for being here. What's this I see? Nicole Sandler, Randy Rhodes. Hey, I'm New Paul 7.5. We've talked about that. Happy to get into that. Really happy to do it. All right. We'll talk about that in the morning. This is probably one of the best things Bernie ever said. This is going to go down in history as just one of those moments. Like the FDR, let them hate me speech, like the MLK, I have a dream speech. This moment that right now, and it's really unfortunate because MSM, establishment media, is just completely ignoring this beautiful, beautiful, historic moment that happened on, I want to say it was Chris Cuomo's interview of Bernie Sanders. And he asked him his views on religion, I'm sure in some kind of a lame effort to throw him off guard and, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. It's Chris Cuomo, right? It's a bobblehead. But Bernie's answer was, I think, way deeper than Chris was expecting to get. So thank you guys for being here. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Stand strong. Do not stop. Be relentless. We're going to let Jon Stewart tell us about that tomorrow on The Real Newsroom. Feel the burn, everybody.
This is what I believe. Every great religion in the world, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, essentially comes down to do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. As a 22-year-old kid getting arrested in Chicago fighting segregation, I believed it in my whole life. That we are in this together, not words. The truth is, at some level, when you hurt, when your children hurt, I hurt. I hurt. And it's very easy to turn our backs on kids who are hungry or veterans who are sleeping out on the street. And we can develop a psyche, a psychology which says, I don't have to worry about them. All I'm going to worry about myself. I need to make another $5 billion. Hey, this whole world is me. I need more and more. I don't care about anybody else. I believe that what human nature is about is that everybody in this room impacts everybody else in all kinds of ways that we can't even understand. It's beyond intellect. It's a spiritual, emotional thing. When we say that that child who is hungry is my child, when we do the right thing, when we try to treat people with respect and dignity, I think we are more human. That's my religion. That's what I believe in. And I think, most people around the world, whatever their religion, their color, share that belief that we are in it together as human beings. If we destroy the planet because we don't deal with climate change, trust me, we are all in it together. That is what my spirituality is about.
Huge